In the labyrinth of human social interaction and the endless pursuit of influence, one lesson echoes with brutal clarity: showing off is the fastest path to losing power. The desire to flaunt achievements, possessions, or status is a universal impulse, yet it is also a trap that ensnares the unwary, diluting their true strength. This paradox, where outward display erodes inward power, is one of Machiavelli's most profound insights into the mechanics of authority. Power is not built on noise or spectacle but on the silent command that comes from mystery, restraint, and control over what is revealed. To show off is to surrender the subtle control over perception that forms the bedrock of enduring influence. It is the loud call of insecurity masquerading as confidence, the desperate bid for validation that ultimately exposes vulnerability. At its core, the impulse to show off arises from a deep psychological need for validation and recognition. Evolutionarily, humans are social creatures wired to seek approval from their group, for survival and reproductive advantage. Yet, this biological wiring creates a double-edged sword. While seeking recognition is natural, the overexertion of this need reveals emotional dependency and instability. Those who feel compelled to showcase their worth risk becoming slaves to the opinions of others. Psychologically, this dependence undermines autonomy, making one reactive to external judgments rather than anchored in internal conviction. The truly powerful are those who transcend this need, deriving their self-worth from within, which frees them from the compulsion to display and allows them to wield power silently. Machiavelli understood that power resides primarily in the control of perception. The art of appearing strong while concealing one's full capabilities is a calculated tactic designed to maintain psychological dominance. Showing off disturbs this balance by giving observers too much information, which they can analyze, question, or use against the individual. In revealing the extent of one's resources, talents, or victories, the show-off exposes strategic vulnerabilities, like a general revealing his entire battle plan prematurely. Power, then, is a game of shadows and suggestion, not blunt revelation. The mysterious figure, by remaining partly unseen, commands curiosity, respect, and a psychological edge that blatant display destroys. Social psychology further explains the dangers of showing off through the lens of envy and threat perception. Humans have an innate tendency to react negatively to those who appear too dominant or superior, a mechanism that evolved to preserve social balance and reduce risks of exploitation or exclusion. When one openly flaunts superiority, it activates defensive responses in others, ranging from subtle social sabotage to overt confrontation. This dynamic is observed across cultures and contexts, from workplaces to political arenas. Excessive display invites backlash. Thus, showing off paradoxically makes the powerful vulnerable by painting a target on their back, inciting covert coalitions or direct opposition that can dismantle their influence. The psychological concept of social comparison is also critical here. By showing off, an individual forces others into unfavorable comparisons, triggering feelings of inadequacy and resentment. Instead of inspiring admiration and loyalty, this breeds jealousy and competition. The Machiavellian leader, however, understands that true power is sustained by loyalty and respect, not envy. They cultivate influence by encouraging identification and aspiration, allowing others to admire from a distance without feeling threatened. This nuanced understanding of human emotional dynamics ensures that influence grows sustainably rather than fracturing through resentment. From a neurological perspective, the act of showing off often engages the brain's reward systems, particularly dopamine pathways, creating short bursts of pleasure from external approval. However, this creates a dependency cycle. The more one seeks external validation, the more fragile one's sense of self becomes, leading to a compulsion for increasingly extravagant displays. This neurochemical addiction weakens psychological resilience, making the individual reactive rather than proactive. In contrast, those who derive satisfaction internally develop a more stable neurochemical balance, fostering calm, confidence, and strategic thinking. This neuropsychological stability is the foundation of genuine power. Practically, the discipline to resist showing off requires rigorous self-awareness and emotional regulation. Many do not realize how often they unconsciously seek to impress through subtle cues, clothing, speech, social media posts, or status symbols. The Machiavellian cultivates mindfulness of these impulses, learning to quiet the ego's craving for validation. This process involves confronting deep insecurities and embracing vulnerability without compensation through display. The result is a paradoxical increase in personal power, as restraint signals mastery over one's desires and emotions. Communication, both verbal and nonverbal, is a crucial arena for the politics of showing off versus subtlety. Powerful individuals choose words that imply rather than declare, that suggest strength without overt boasting. Their body language is controlled and deliberate, avoiding extravagance that might signal insecurity or desperation. Silence becomes a weapon, forcing others to fill in the gaps and imagine depths that are never fully revealed. This strategic ambiguity creates a psychological tension that commands attention and respect far more effectively than blatant showmanship. Historical figures provide abundant evidence of Machiavellian mastery in avoiding showing off. Abraham Lincoln's quiet dignity, for instance, masked a formidable strategic mind and emotional resilience. His power was conveyed through measured words and calm presence, never through ostentation. Queen Elizabeth I skillfully managed her image, revealing just enough to maintain loyalty but withholding to preserve mystery and control. Their legacies endure because they mastered the art of presence without parade, influence without exhibition. In contrast, many rulers and leaders have toppled themselves through reckless display. The Roman Emperor Nero's flamboyance alienated the Senate and people alike, sparking rebellion. More recently, business leaders who publicly flaunt wealth and status often become targets for criticism and envy, undermining their authority. These examples illustrate the timeless lesson that showing off is a gateway to isolation and downfall. The modern digital landscape intensifies the temptation and dangers of showing off. Social media platforms encourage constant self-promotion, creating an ecosystem where influence is often measured in likes and followers rather than substantive power. Yet, those who flood these spaces with their achievements often dilute their credibility and invite scrutiny. Machiavellian wisdom in the digital age is to master the art of strategic invisibility, sharing selectively, communicating meaningfully, and maintaining an aura of mystery amidst the noise. This disciplined approach cultivates an authentic following grounded in respect, not fleeting popularity. Psychologically, those who master the restraint from showing off develop greater emotional resilience and internal security. Their self-worth is decoupled from the volatile judgments of others, freeing them to act with calm authority. This autonomy enhances decision-making, creativity, and leadership, qualities fundamental to sustained influence. They operate from a place of inner strength that cannot be shaken by external challenges or criticisms. The psychological benefits extend beyond the individual to their social environment. By not flaunting power, these individuals reduce jealousy and social friction, fostering cooperation and loyalty. Their social groups experience stability because power dynamics are managed through respect rather than competition. This subtle control over group psychology magnifies their influence and secures their position. To cultivate this mastery, one must begin with brutal honesty, acknowledging the ego's hunger for display and the vulnerabilities it masks. Practices such as journaling, therapy, or meditation can help uncover these hidden drivers. Learning to tolerate discomfort without compensation through showmanship builds psychological toughness. Over time, restraint becomes a source of pride and power rather than deprivation. The Machiavellian approach also includes tactical concealment, sharing successes modestly, attributing achievements to teams, and deflecting attention gracefully. This approach disarms potential rivals by denying them ammunition. It also creates goodwill and strengthens alliances, further consolidating power. In communication, the power of suggestion often outweighs explicit declaration. Powerful individuals use metaphor, implication, and silence to shape perceptions subtly. This nuanced language requires sophisticated social intelligence and a deep understanding of human psychology. When mastered, it allows one to lead without command, to influence without coercion. The psychological principle of impression management is central here. While everyone manages impressions, the Machiavellian does so with strategic subtlety. They avoid extremes of flamboyance or invisibility, instead calibrating their presence to the social context and desired outcome. This dynamic modulation of self-presentation creates an impression of adaptability and control, enhancing power. Importantly, avoiding showing off does not mean hiding weaknesses or being deceptive. Rather, It means exercising control over what is revealed, maintaining authenticity while resisting the urge to broadcast. This balance fosters trust and credibility, essential for lasting influence. In leadership, this principle manifests as humility coupled with confidence. Leaders who do not boast inspire loyalty and respect through consistent competence and integrity. Their actions speak louder than words, creating a legacy of trust that endures beyond personal presence. In personal relationships, resisting the urge to show off deepens intimacy and mutual respect. It creates space for genuine connection rather than competition. Partners and friends value authenticity over performance, strengthening bonds. The psychological underpinnings extend to the concept of self-concept clarity, the degree to which one has a clear, confident understanding of oneself. High self-concept clarity reduces the need for external validation and display. The Machiavellian cultivates this clarity through reflection, experience, and emotional work, laying a stable foundation for power. Furthermore, avoiding showing off aligns with principles of emotional intelligence, particularly self-regulation and social awareness. Controlling impulses to boast requires emotional discipline, understanding others' reactions requires empathy. Together, these skills enable effective navigation of social landscapes. Historically, secretive strategists like Otto von Bismarck wielded power through careful concealment and understatement rather than grand displays. Their success reinforces the timelessness of Machiavellian wisdom. In conclusion, the psychological and strategic mastery of avoiding showing off is a cornerstone of true power. It requires self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and tactical subtlety. By mastering this art, one transforms from a figure of fleeting spectacle into a force of enduring influence. Machiavelli's dark wisdom reveals that power is best kept silent, wrapped in mystery, and wielded with discretion. To show off is to lose, to withhold is to command.